There may be more than one quarterback at the top. There might be more than two, to tell you the truth. Who's your sleeper? Who's ours? We're going to get to that, as well as the running backs in this class that may step forward today on Locked On NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Show. I am your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And of course, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Tracy. And y'all know, man, it's Wednesday, so we got John Harris with us. All right, so Jay Harris Football on Twitter, also at Ryan Tracy NFL on Twitter. And of course, you got Eric_Crocker on Twitter. We want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day, and also let you know that this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not a self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide, and they have a special right now for all of our listeners. Get 10% off your first month, and it's at betterhelp.com/lockedon. All right, y'all. So fun topics today. Talking about some of these prospects from the 2023 class, guys that are available for that class. And we're starting at the quarterback group. And I think everybody knows about the top two guys. Everybody talks about CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. And they've kind of already read them in at the top of this class, potential number 1, number 2, number 3 overall picks. All right, but who are the other guys outside of those guys? So, Ryan, we'll start with you, Ryan. Who's a guy that you have in mind that you're thinking he either is close to these guys, maybe he's slightly below them, or maybe even ahead of them?
There's a number that you could go with, but the guy that stands out to me is Devin Leary. When I look at touchdowns to interception ratio, that's one of the main stats that I want to see. Can he take a step forward? I think it's going to be interesting to watch. I can't say I'm going to put him there because the two quarterbacks we're talking about are honestly at the top by themselves. But I'll tell you the dark horse that I like, that I put in my top 16 preseason, that's Tanner McKee from Stanford. I'm really interested to see how he progresses. It's another guy on the West Coast that I'm going to be watching real closely, and there's a slew of quarterbacks here. So I really see the rest of the crowd as a crowd. I'm waiting for somebody to stand out to tell me, yes, I can take to that next level and compete with CJ and Bryce.
Well, I was studying Tanner McKee the other day. I think Ryan's dead on. I think he's a very interesting prospect, kind of a three-quarter release, but pretty good arm, can make all the throws. Obviously in a Stanford offense. I see a Stanford quarterback every day in Davis Mills. And talk about a guy that's improved year after year, rep after rep, and that's Davis Mills. And he was doing that at Stanford. He just ran out of time basically, and sort of because of COVID, he had to leave a little bit early, and that put Tanner McKee in an opportunity to start. So I think Tanner McKee is absolutely someone to watch. I think if you really want to roll the dice with there are a couple guys that stand out to me. Tyler Van Dyke from out of Miami is one of the reasons I bring him up is confidence, size, arm. And he's got a lot of different things, but Miami was kind of in the doldrums, not knowing what to do when Derek King went down, and they were kind of floundering, and King was kind of in and out. He was ineffective. And all of a sudden, Miami went to Van Dyke, and things changed. He started hitting throws that King couldn't. Receivers started getting involved in areas where they weren't getting involved. He throws a great deep ball. He is tough. He's cocky. I kind of like that. Tyler Van Dyke from Miami is a guy that I think is maybe a surprise, but he's a guy that I find right up there. Another guy, and this one is purely, and you guys know how the NFL is, this is purely about traits. Totally and completely. And that's Anthony Richardson from out of Florida. Rocket arm, 6'5", 245, massive dude, can run it. And, I mean, he's beating secondary guys to the end zone. But I don't know how much I can trust him just yet. The guy pulled a muscle dancing in the team hotel the night before a game and had to miss 3 games. Now, I want you to go back in your quarterback Rolodex in your minds and recall the times that happened. Oh, wait, that's never happened. So there are some youth issues he's got to get over. But, man, you talk about tools, he'll blow you away with tools. And one other guy that's in your backyard, in a sense, Crock, is a guy that every time I watch him, I get more and more comfortable with him, and I'm really curious to see what he does this year, and that's KJ Jefferson from Arkansas.
Yep.
I really am curious about what he can do. 21-4 touchdown interception ratio, 67% completion, runs it extremely well. I know everybody tries to compare him to Cam Newton. I think he's a little bit bigger Jalen Hurts. That's kind of who I comped him to, is Jalen Hurts, and I could live with that. I think KJ Jefferson is definitely a dark horse to watch from Arkansas this year.
One of my buddies on Twitter compared him to actually Dak Prescott. He said he felt like kind of Dak Prescott, and he could see that kind of development curve. And, this year you saw him take a huge step. Listen, I was so upset with Arkansas, and I'm not a Razorback fan, but the longer I live here, the more I want to see them do well. But the year before, they opted to play Felipe Franks. And I'm like, why are you playing Felipe Franks? This team is not good right now. They're kind of in this whole turnover. Play KJ Jefferson. Get him those reps when it's kind of meaningless and they don't really expect a whole lot, and you'll be better for it moving forward. Well, they played Felipe Franks, and KJ Jefferson got off to a hot start. He played well, but I feel like, man, if he would have had those reps the year before, he would have been so much better this year, and maybe they would have stayed more of a top 10 team. I am glad that neither one of you chose to talk about my guy, and that's Will Levis.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. That's why I didn't say it. I knew you were saying that. I had a feeling you were going that direction, my man.
I love Will Levis. I think he is the kind of the epitome of everything that you want in a quarterback in today's day and age. He can play in shotgun. He can play under center. I like, seeing him show the fakes, turn his back to a defense off of play action from coming out from under center, whip back around, find the guy, hit him in stride. I mean, he does some really good things. He has a big arm. He has enough mobility. I'd say the biggest knock I have on him right now, again, he's playing terrific. This is a guy that has transferred as well. But the biggest knock I have on him is probably that he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. And I don't know what's up with that. The mayonnaise in the coffee. I've seen him eat not raw bananas, but he eats the banana with the peeling. I mean, so he's a quirky kind of guy. But when you just talk about just raw traits, right, the things that actually matter, that stuff doesn't matter. But the things that really matter, his ability to process, get the ball in his hands quick, throw with timing and rhythm, have a big arm throwing the ball down the field, enough mobility. I think those things are going to – that's ultimately what's going to have him excel. And having a guy like Rich Gangrillo, he's come from that Kyle Shanahan tree. He's been the quarterback coach for Shanahan. He's been in offenses that are similar to that. I think understanding what that offense was and now having his opportunity to put his fingerprints on this offense was really similar, because I believe their previous offensive coordinator just left to the NFL to the LA Rams.
Liam Cohen.
Yeah, so very similar offense. Probably won't have to change a whole lot. Just continue to build and add on what Will Levis is. And I think once they do that, we're talking about a guy who, I know everybody's talking about Bryce Young and Stroud. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And I don't want to be this hot shot take type guy and people come at me on Twitter. But I would not be surprised right now if you were like, hey, Will Levis ends up being the first quarterback taken. Wouldn't be shocked. Now, again, Bryce Young, good. Just won a Heisman. So it's hard to see that right now. But, man, Will Levis, he's definitely a guy who I'm excited to see what he does next year. And when we come back, John, I do want to ask you a few questions about a certain second-year quarterback over there in Houston. And also we're going to get into some running backs. We just talked about quarterback surprise guys. Bijan Robinson, really good running back for Texas. But who should we be looking for after him? We're going to talk about that and more next. But first, we want to talk to you about Built Bar Puffs. And have you tried a Built Bar Puff yet? If you aren't, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Are you ready for this, guys? Because it's very delicious. Indulge yourself in the new cookie dough. All right, it's covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to the new favorite, cookie dough chunk puffs. And they have a light coat with texy texture or chewy texture, or real cookie dough chunks. And of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All of the joys of eating cookie dough with the hassle of making it. All right, plus it's very healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com right now and snag a box for you or your family before they are gone. And like all Built bars, the new cookie dough chunk puff is covered in 100% real chocolate. That means they are healthy and tasty. Chocolate covered cookie dough with light fluffy texture. So good. All right. What's great about Built Bar as well is they're made with collagen protein, which is very good for your body. It makes you absorb it more efficiently, and it provides a ton of health benefits. Eat something that tastes really good and is good for you. You're going to love the new cookie dough chunk puff, whether you need a snack after your workout, whether it's a late night treat, or you just need to grab a quick bite. Built Bar has the perfect protein bar for you, and they taste better than any candy bar that you can have. It's a lot better as well. So dish the calories, the fat, the sugar, and grab yourself a Built Bar. Go to Built.com right now and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off of your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, y'all, we want to thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And before we dive into these running backs, John, I mean, you know me, I'm looking on Twitter. I'm keeping up with everything. I've been a huge Davis Mills guy for whatever reason. I don't even know why I'm so high on him, but I just felt like he got kind of a raw deal. He went third round, and people he's like the forgotten guy. Well, sounds like I don't know, everything's going great right now. Today, he killed it in the red zone. He's shredding the defense. He's throwing to the Stockton boy, North Stockton boy at that, Brandon Cooks. But how is Davis Mills looking in camp right now?
You know, it's one of those things where you see somebody in camp and you don't want to get too excited. I mean, you really don't, because you're like, all right, he's going against our defense. How good is our defense? We think it's better, but you never know. But does he just look different from last year? I mean, night and day different. His comfortability is just, I mean, I can't even explain how different he looks and how comfortable he looks. They ran a 2-minute drill today, and he was a maestro. He hit on a 4th and 15. Then he hit 3 throws in a row. Then he had Brevin Jordan down the seam, and they were playing cover 2 or Tampa 2, and Jordan is in line with Christian Kirksey, linebacker, middle runner. And so essentially Davis back shouldered him in the middle of the field so Jordan could come back to the ball, makes the catch, set up for the field goal, and they kick the field goal and win the game, if you will. He's so much more confident. He's in charge of the huddle. He's running an offense he's familiar with. Pep Hamilton has a lot of the tenets in this offense are from the Pep Hamilton, Stanford offense. So Davis is very familiar with it. He's extremely comfortable. The offensive line has improved. Kenyon Green stepped in with the once today, the number 15 overall pick, and Davis has just looked like a different guy. If he's not been the number one star in our camp, it's been, and I know there are a lot of fantasy people who listen to this too, Nico Collins, formerly of Michigan, sat out the 2020 season because of all that went down with COVID. He would have played if the Big Ten had screwed it up, but they screwed it up. He was already pro training, so he just decided to just go to the Senior Bowl and then play from there. So he missed a whole year of football, kind of shook the rust off in 2021, and now he's turning into a full-on dude right now. And he and Davis have a really great connection. You mentioned Brandon. Brandon's been fantastic as always. But if Nico takes that next step and becomes the guy that you could throw in the red zone, back shoulder balls down the field, that if you want to man-to-man cover him, he's just going to eat it up because of his size, his speed, his length. So the Davis Mills to Nico Collins connection has been very exciting. And I know it's the Texans. I know a lot of people, Texans are, bottom 4th of the league. But if Davis Mills hits, not going to be bottom 4 for a long time because they got a bunch of picks coming from the Deshaun Watson trade, and could be more excited about the rookies, the young guys, watching Sting in practice every day. You can tell he's kind of getting his feet back under him. But Davis Mills has looked very, very good. And I know there'll be some people that have him in keeper leagues or have him for fantasy. Trust it. He is going to put up some numbers this year. As long as the offensive line keep him upright and he stays healthy, he's going to have himself a year. And I think the Texans passing game will surprise some people.
That's awesome. That's great to hear right there. Let's turn our attention to these running backs now. And again, after Bijan Robinson, and I think, Jahmyr Gibbs, a lot of people really like him to transfer from Georgia Tech to Alabama. But I'm going to go in a different direction here. All right. Zach Charbonnet started off at Michigan, transferred over, and I think I just stole Ryan Tracy's guy, but transferred over to UCLA. And I feel like they built an entire offense. And I don't know if they did it purposely or if they were just looking for a back that fit what it was that they wanted to do. but he fits whatever Chip Kelly is trying to do, which is weird, right? Chip Kelly at Oregon, he had these little speedster guys, Michael James, Kenyon Barner, those type of running backs, and now you got Zach Charbonnet. He's kind of like the opposite, more of a power back, has a nice little wiggle to him, lowers his shoulder, nice little breakaway runs. He runs extremely hard, but this guy is definitely, when you talk about backs who I thought he was coming out this year, and I thought he would have been third, fourth round back. You know, and backs kind of tend to slip a little bit. I don't know if the extra year is going to help him, but he's definitely a running back who I feel like people should be talking about a little bit more. What do you think, John?
Well, I'm glad you gave Ryan a couple minutes to kind of figure out his choice because, Ryan, you were going with Zach Charbonnet. I mean, if that guy isn't Nick Chubb reincarnate, I don't know who he is. I mean, he wears the 2-4. I mean, the second and third level defenders in the fourth quarter are going to make some business decisions about whether they want to tackle that guy from UCLA. He's high on my list as well. But I studied a guy this weekend that I'm starting to fall in love with. And you mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs. In Texas, we have Devin Achane at Texas A&M who plays running back, but I don't know if that'll be his ultimate role. I think he might be kind of a dual threat, kind of Weapon X sort of guy. Because, I mean, he runs 10-100. I mean, he is a legit track star. But I don't know if I consider him a running back. But I watched Sean Tucker from Syracuse. And I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention to Syracuse football much last year. You know, it was a team that's 5-7. Wasn't going to a bowl game. They're playing an ACC. You know, covering the Texans, they don't always get a chance to watch Syracuse football. And so I really wasn't paying attention to him. And I knew he was not going to be drafted last year because he still had eligibility. So I wasn't paying too much attention. I was like, you know what? I know he's going to be in my Harris 100, so I'm getting that as complete as I can. And so I'm like, all right, it's time to watch Sean Tucker. And so I get a couple of Syracuse games, and I'm like, whoa, what have I missed out on? This guy can fly. His acceleration is off the charts. I like, okay, did I just see that? Watch the second game. Oh, yeah, I saw that. He is legit fast. He is an accelerator. At first, I thought Damian Harris. I'm like, no, he's way faster than that. And I eventually came around to Jonathan Taylor. I just see Jonathan Taylor's probably a little bit bigger, but I guarantee you Tucker's in the low 4.4 range. His acceleration is incredible. He's very good in the screen game. I think Sean Tucker from Syracuse has got a really good chance to be in that top part of the second round where Breece Hall was, where Kenneth Walker went. I think Sean Tucker has another healthy year for Syracuse. That's a guy we could be talking about very early in this next draft.
What about you, Ryan? Did you get enough time to think about your new guy?
You know, if you guys are going to just do this to me, then I'm going to go deep dive then, because this guy is not going to be in a day one or maybe even day two. There's two guys that I'll give you. Guys that stood out to me when I was watching other people. One is Dwayne McBride from UAB. He gets on his horse and he gets downfield. My favorite thing, and you guys are going to see this theme here in a second, Zach 220, right? You stole him from me. Dwayne 5'11", 215. The second most missed tackles forced in college football last year, right after Bijan, right? I'll take that all day long because let's be honest, the offensive line play as it comes out into the league is not getting a whole lot better much faster, right? So it is on the running backs to force some missed tackles. If you can do that, that's what I'm looking for. He's got a good acceleration. I wouldn't call him a burner, but he averages 6 yards a carry against competition that is obviously a little bit lower, but I like that. And I'll tell you the guy that I really want to watch. And it is about Will Levis's team. It's Chris Rodriguez who stood out to me a couple of times at Kentucky. Another guy that is good size. I think he comes in at 224 at 5'11". So I'll take him too. Thank you very much. And let him go hit somebody. That's what I'm looking for in a running back. I'm not going to take these guys on day one. I'm not going to probably even touch them on day two. But you can get running backs at 4, 5, 7 and UDFAs that are this size that could hurt people, and that's what I'm looking for.
Chris Rodriguez, liked him when I watched him on film. Definitely a one-cut power guy. He can get north and south real quick and lay the lumber on some guys in that secondary. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some either or. We're going to see what John Harris has for us. But first, we want to talk to you a little bit about our friends at BetterHelp. And, you know, life is full of twists and turns. And it's important to show up for yourself through it all. BetterHelp Online Therapy will assess your needs, and they can match you with your own licensed personal therapist in less than 48 hours. Look, we've all been through different times where we need someone to talk to. If it's not you personally, it might be a situation like me where it was my significant other. And it's like, okay, who do we talk to about what it is that you're going through? Well, now you have someone to talk to. and it's BetterHelp. We wish we would have known that back then. It's not a crisis line. It's not a self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, and it's available to you worldwide. You can log into your account at any time and send a message to your therapist. You can schedule weekly video and phone sessions, and you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to, if you're a little bit shy and but you still want to get that therapy. Every week is as easy as a few clicks on your laptop or your phone. With therapy, it can take a few tries to find the right fit for you, but BetterHelp, they make it easy for you, and it's free to charge therapists if needed. It's more affordable than your traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. They want to help you any way possible. So you need to visit the website and read their testimonies. They are posted there daily. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. They need help because people believe in this that much. Right now, they have a special for all of our listeners where you get 10% off of your first month at BetterHelp.com/locked-on. All right, so locked on. You got to make sure that you add that. That's 10% off of your first month of online therapy at BetterHelp.com/locked-on. All right, John, let's get into some either or, one of my favorite times of the week right here. So, what do you got for us?
Okay, I did these either ors before we got on the air, so I already know how Eric Crocker is going to answer this one. But Ryan, I don't know your answer, so I'll start with you. You gotta put stock in a quarterback for the 2023 NFL Draft. Are you putting that stock in KJ Jefferson from Arkansas or Will Levis from Kentucky?
Definitely know my answer.
Yes, we do. And not to echo you, when I did my first post-draft top 16, Levis was the third quarterback on my list at number 6 overall. Okay. So I will stick with him.
Okay. Do I even? No, you stick with Will Levis.
Hold on, real
I'm
quick.
sticking with Levis.
Ryan, does the mayonnaise in the coffee worry you at all?
I've heard.
Did y'all see that video?
Oh, it's gross.
Yeah,
it's miracle. Listen, it's not just like Duke's, or Hellman's. He's putting freaking Miracle Whip in there, man. No way. No way.
And now, it wasn't just a little
I can
drop.
deal with weird. Yeah, I know. He's full on, dollops, plural.
Yeah.
I can do weird. I can
with,
do weird. I mean, Brock Osweiler was our quarterback. I can do weird. I'm fine. But the Miracle Whip and the coffee, man. Oof. No. I don't know. So you're not changing your answer. Will Levis over KJ Jefferson.
Yep.
Okay. Eric Crocker, you're not changing yours. We know what you're doing. All right. Eric Crocker doesn't like KJ.
I hope he proves us wrong. I can't wait to go up there and watch some Arkansas games and woo pig suey.
And I don't even know if it's so much, Eric, that he'll prove us wrong. I think it's just that, I like both of them, actually. Both of them are going to end up in my top 7 quarterbacks going in. Right. I think I have Levis 4th behind Van Dyke right now. And I think I have Jefferson like 7th or 8th. So that's – I would go Levis as well, so we're a clean sweep there. Okay, I may have answered or asked this one before, but I got to thinking about this because I saw a highlight from the Cincinnati Bengals Twitter today that made me think about this. You can buy stock in one of these guys for the rest of his career. Wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase or wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Now, keep in mind, if Jefferson has a great year in year 3, but the Vikings won't pay him and he goes somewhere else, maybe that adds to it, maybe takes away. Who knows? Ja'Marr Chase, I would imagine they're going to re-up with him after 3 years. Who knows? But the Bengals have been notoriously cheap over the years. Maybe he goes somewhere else. I don't know. But if you're buying stock in those receivers, which one? Ja'Marr Chase or Justin Jefferson? Eric Crocker, you first.
I think Ja'Marr Chase is just too good, and I think his quarterback situation is great. I think they keep those two guys together, so I'm definitely going with Ja'Marr Chase there. Now, listen, if I was a little bit more comfortable with what I feel like the Vikings would do at the quarterback situation, then maybe I pick Justin Jefferson. I think he's been terrific, right? Yep. But Kirk Cousins, how much longer is he going to be the quarterback there? Are they going to try to improve? And when trying to improve over a guy like Cousins who gives you good quarterback play, not great quarterback play, it can be hard. And they already drafted a guy, Kellen Mond. That hasn't worked out at all. Again, 3rd round. I don't know what the expectations were, but whatever they were, he hasn't quite met them just yet. So at some point in the next year or so, I believe that Minnesota will have a different quarterback. Will it be a better quarterback? When it comes to the Bengals, I know Joe Burrow is going to be there. I know Ja'Marr Chase is going to be there. I trust that camaraderie, that relationship. We've seen it going back to LSU. So I'm definitely sticking with Ja'Marr Chase on this one.
Ryan Tracy, Chase or Jefferson?
The Vikings are just in that tough spot. When you have good quarterback play, you're stuck in the middle. You have to trade up to get in the top 10. You know, you're going to be that middling team. It makes it difficult. Have they moved around enough? Have they shown the propensity to throw all their picks and let's go up into the top 3 and get somebody? I don't know that I buy that. Now, obviously, new GM changes that. I don't know enough about Desi to know what's going to happen. So
Sure.
I think I'm going to have to side with Eric as much as that's going to blow him up.
All right. Probably clean sweep. I'm a big fan of Ja'Marr Chase, so I would absolutely do that. All right. Now, these are specific for each one of you.
Real quick, hold on. Let me kind of go back and revisit that. If you just told me I had to pick one wide receiver first and I don't have a quarterback, I don't know who my quarterback is for either guy, I would say Justin Jefferson. I think the way he wins in a bunch of different ways is probably just a little easier to target him. I felt like Ja'Marr Chase, he needed someone that's going to really trust him at the catch point. Clearly, Joe Burrow is somebody who's college quarterback does. So there is a scenario where I would go Justin Jefferson, but not in this scenario. No way. I'm definitely going Ja'Marr Chase. So
Eric, that's a great point, because I saw that with DeAndre Hopkins here, that there were quarterbacks that understood how to throw to DeAndre. And then there was a quarterback, famously, who didn't. And DeAndre's numbers all of a sudden just went, they tanked, but they went down. And obviously Joe Burrow knows how to throw to Ja'Marr Chase, and that is, he may not look open, but he's open. Trust him. We talked about Davis Mills and Nico Collins earlier. I'm seeing that with those two. Davis understands, hey, that guy might be right in his hip pocket, and as a DB, you've been in a hip pocket, but if that guy's 6'4", 215, he's blocking you out, there's not much you can do about it. And Davis still throwing the ball to Nico, and so I like seeing that. So
that's a great comp right there. I mean, just throwing out DeAndre Hopkins' name and kind of that scenario, because he is a guy, and people don't probably view it like that, but I don't think you're seeing DeAndre Hopkins just whoop guys with routes, right? Like he wins at the catch point, extremely strong hands, and can win vertically that way. And I think Ja'Marr Chase is like this faster version of that. Yeah. That's not any slight at DeAndre Hopkins and how great he's been, but I mean, that's what we're talking about with the upside of Ja'Marr Chase with what he's already done as a rookie.
Well, and that being that young, when you own the 3-foot space around you, like both those guys do, that's going to be repeatable for the length of your career, so you can't jump no more. So that makes a lot of sense. And Viking fans, I know I butchered your GM's name. I apologize. I always forget the third name. Apologies.
I'm glad you said it, Ryan, because I would have totally butchered that one. Okay, these two are specific. Now, you'll see why in a second. Ryan, you go first. Locked On Chiefs, check it out. Go back and redo a pick. Ooh. You can only get one. The other one you lose.
Sure, I'll take Jonathan Taylor over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Done.
Either Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith.
Either? It's not like they were close, John.
I don't care. Pick one. We're talking about the now, because as I was told many times when I felt coach, doesn't matter where you drafted. Once you get in the league, you can redo one of those picks. The other one you lose.
The other one
come to me in Houston.
Okay, I'm getting. I don't know about your scenarios anymore, John. This is tough. I will tell you this. I think Creed Humphrey should be in contention for an All-Pro selection this year. I don't think Trey Smith is quite there. So just in the first 2 years, I think you have to go with Creed Humphrey. But I will say this, Trey is on the way up, and he is battling. And Chris Jones and he in training camp is a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, man, that's nasty. That is nasty. That's bold. You're going with Creed. Okay. Leave Trey Smith. The guy you don't pick comes to Houston. All right, Eric Crocker. You get to go back and redo a pick. Either Nick Bosa or the bag man, Deebo Samuel. Which one?
No. Oh, man. That's tough, because Deebo Samuel literally carried the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. But Nick Bosa,
Bosa's that edge presence. You need it in the NFL, especially in a four-man surface. Nick Bosa or Deebo Samuel?
Oh, gosh, Nick Bosa is so good. I legit am going to put money on him for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he came off a torn ACL last year. You couldn't even really tell. And now he gets a full year. And now he looks like a superhero right now. Gosh, I don't even think he has like 4% body fat, which isn't very healthy. Oh, man. Deebo or I'm going to go with Nick Bosa.
Okay.
Because I know at the very least, I mean, gosh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go Nick Bosa.
Okay.
And that's tough because Deebo Samuel's like 5 players in one. I'm going Deebo Samuel. No, oh gosh, I don't know. I gotta opt out of this
now
one.
offer you Trey Smith for Nick Bosa. Thank you.
Okay. So
I gotta opt out of that one.
so
That
if you
is
go
tough
with-
because Deebo he was everything for the 49ers. Everything on offense. I mean, I just need to get the ball in your hands. And I mean, there was a 3rd and 20 play. They threw a screen to him. He takes it 80 yards to the crib. I mean, he was just so special. They needed a touchdown play, so they tossed it to him. He actually threw a touchdown in the big game. He put him in the backfield. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. Oh, my goodness. He carried the 49ers. I might have to go Deebo, and that's tough because Nick Bosa is amazing.
Yeah. As I look at the 2018 draft after Bosa, Quinnen Williams, good player, but the 49ers had interior.
2019,
sorry. Cleveland Farrell, nah. I'll tell you, if you put Devin White next to Fred Warner, I mean, you might have to shut that down. You wouldn't touch Daniel Jones. Josh Allen, edge rusher from Jacksonville. Hawkinson from Detroit. Ed Oliver, Buffalo. Deb Bush. There's really, I mean, you're probably right going with Deebo at that point because maybe Nick Bosa would have come back around. But, Rashawn Gary at 12, maybe you do that too. I don't know. Rashawn Gary's going to be an interesting guy. I just had to make you pick between your children and see where you were going to go with that. So you guys passed and did very well. All right. I go back to I was on Twitter today, and it's always fun on Twitter because you see different highlights. And I saw from the 2 Big Apple teams singular highlights of 2 guys that were drafted in 2021. Now, both of them had some issues for different reasons. One of them had a quarterback that struggled. One of them just couldn't get out of his own way, really. But hella talented dudes. And both of them, I think, could really explode on the scene for the Giants and the Jets. Eric Crocker, you got to pick one. You're picking either Kadarius Toney from the Giants or Elijah Moore from the New York Jets.
Oh, yeah, Elijah Moore. I just always liked Elijah Moore. No pun intended. So he was higher on my board during that draft class. I don't think I've seen anything yet to change that. And that's no slight at Kadarius Toney. I think he's going to be a solid receiver, but I'm definitely going Elijah Moore. And I like, just if we're talking about as well, kind of their fits right now with their team. I just like what, and not so much just, Zach Wilson, like he's just so amazing, but just some of the things he's able to do to get the ball in his receiver's hands. I feel like I can bank on that more than Daniel Jones. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Elijah Moore.
Ryan, Toney or Moore?
I want to disagree. I had Toney higher, I think, in terms of rankings coming out. But in retrospect, from what he's done since he's got here, can you really trust that? And you can't just put blinders on and ignore what you've been as a pro. So, unfortunately, I have to agree with my esteemed colleague, Eric Crocker. We should run a team or something because we can't seem to disagree.
Okay, let me ask you this one. For the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, both of them would be electric. But because of Toney's ability to make people miss in space, how good he is, with jet sweeps and things like that, with the ball in his hands out in space, would Kadarius Toney, Ryan, make more sense in Kansas City than a guy like Elijah Moore?
I actually don't think so, because in order to make that kind of impact, you have to learn maybe the most complex offense in the NFL. And I'm not convinced that the dedication is there to get that done. I'm not convinced that the adaptation and the limited timeshare or touch share is going to be enough to keep that player happy, not cause bigger problems inside the locker room. So I'm not taking the chance.
All right, this one, well, it's for both of you, but it is about defensive backs. And so that, because I was a defensive back back in the day, Eric Crocker was a defensive back. Ryan, I'll start with you. Which one is DBU, either LSU or Alabama?
It's LSU.
LSU, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Derek Stingley Jr., Alabama, Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Surtain.
Are we just leaving? Are you just going to leave Ohio State out of this?
Yeah, I'm leaving Ohio State out of this.
Okay. All right. Just asking.
You know why? Because Ohio State fans will be the most pissed off fans you've ever seen that they weren't included. So, yeah, Ohio State fans, you're out. Sorry. This is just about LSU or Alabama.
I think when you look at legacy and who makes the jump and has more meaningful careers, I probably lean towards LSU.
I want to disagree because we have been agreeing on so much, but I have to lean towards LSU as well.
Someday we'll disagree.
Someday. All right. Throw Ohio State in there then.
I'm still going LSU.
I am too. Because Ohio State's put some first rounders in. But what's Okuda done?
Right.
Bradley Roby was I saw him in Houston. He should have been better than he was. Marshawn Lattimore really has been the one kind of holding his water. Malik Hooker didn't work out with the Indianapolis Colts. Those are all first rounders from Ohio State that I can think of off the top of my head that played in the defensive backfield. So I didn't feel great about saying Ohio State because, the guys that were much valued coming out of Ohio State, really Marshawn Lattimore is the only one that I could think of that really stood out. Now, I'm sure I'm missing somebody at that point.
Denzel Ward's solid. You got to feel
Denzel Ward,
right?
Denzel Ward's very good. But I just feel like the depth was probably a little bit more at LSU, Alabama, and we'll let Ohio State fans just kind of cuss at me and all that kind of stuff. Look, they got Deshaun for only 6 games, so they should be happy there in Ohio.
I'm definitely going to point them your way after we post this. But we definitely want to thank you and all you Ohio State fans. Again, if you are upset by anything that's happened today, you got John Harris.
We love you,
here.
Buckeyes. Come on.
Jay Harris Football. Go ahead, find him on Twitter right now. Tell him how you're not very happy with what he just did. But everyone else want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. And for your second listen of the day, we got Ryan Tracy right there on Locked On Chiefs. You got myself and Brian Peacock, Locked On 49ers. And you got John Harris. He's covering the Houston Texans. Anybody Houston Texans fans out there, you want to know more about Davis Mills and Brandon Cooks over there in Houston, that's who you need to follow. But till then, we'll see y'all tomorrow when we have Rob Rang on. Peace.